Here we are with Chapter 8 of Metroid High School. We're almost done reading this fanfic. Hello everyone. Wow, it's been a while. It's been a little more than 3 whole years since I started writing Metroid High School, and I can't believe how many people have loved it. 63 reviews, almost 10,000 hits. I wouldn't have been able to do it without. You guys are the best. Thank you. I was only 11 when I wrote Chapter 1 of MHS, and lots of things have happened since I started writing. But now I'm in high school, and I barely have time anymore because of school tests and my new boyfriend. He's real, not internet this time. So I don't exactly have time to write fanfic anymore. Sad face. I've had chappies written for months on my hard drive, but I just really want to get the story finished on with life, so I decided to unload and take elements from each chapter for one big finale. It doesn't always exactly make sense all the time, but hey, it's epic. Hopefully it ties all the loose ends in a fitful conclusion. I think I've had enough for the talk. It's time for Chapter 8, Endgame Finale. The halls of a high school. Metroid High School. Dances. Gossip. Girls. Students. Learning. Everything had happened. Samus and Ridley's ask-out, the football, the cholera, and even the election. But now war stains. Of course, the typical line of ones to separate one paragraph from the next. In the hall, civil war was raging before it even started. Falcon's kitchen cabinet. I learned this about in U.S. history. Andrew Jackson liked his buddy, so he gave them jobs eating food and partying in the White House. Was in control of the school. Luckily, Samus and friends were not pushovers, so it was a bloody situation. Mandy and Tio Wan were two of the people who were fighting in the onslaught. Tio, catch! Helen addicted as her Mexican caught the grenade she tossed at him. With teeth, he pulled out the tat and through, killing 7 or more Republicans. Too bad one of the key hunters still had a trick up his sleeve, and it was a pistol. It was fired at Helen, mortally wounding his soulmate. Tio Wan. Helen coughed, but was cut off by the river of death. Tio Wan was insoluble. This turned him into a killing machine. He'd lost his favorite girlfriend, his friend. For war? For what? The underground art room was where Samus, Amy, Adam, and Principal Yokoi were discussing war games, except not Warhammer or Battlefront, but the kind that countries do before a war. Except this one was already happening. What are we screwed? Principal Gunpei Yokoi extruded in the room. Luckily, no one noticed his bozo fits and carried on with the meeting. President Aaron, here's the ordeal. Amy, her friend, and her advisor protrude. Falcon and the Republican Army have learned how to clone key hunters, so that's why there's so many bodies everywhere. This did not look like it was going to be a happy ending, but a shadow appeared in the corner. It was a good thing they didn't shoot it, because it was only Trace. If you can give me and the game dude time, I believe we can call in reinforcements, Trace coveted. No one liked industrial espionage, but they agreed that just like Samus said in speech that things must be different when there's a war. Okay, I see the ideas, but what are we going to do in the meantime? Adam noted that there might be not enough time for the game dude's scheme. There are way too many enemies to take down with us posters and political allies. That's when a voice was heard at the door, and it was someone that Samus did not exactly expect. You have my body, Ridley Legolas. And when everyone turned around, they saw it was Mecha Ridley, and he was in a robotic combat suit like Metroid Fusion. Samus was happy to see him first, but quickly remembered everything. Sex. Cholera. Cervantes. Was it too much? Samus, I know that things have happened, and maybe I'm too manhandle. But we must fight to save the school. Let's worry about things later, because we have lots of ass to kick right now. Samus was speechless, but murmured, okay, because she knew that things were too important to bicker. The football president put on her power suit like when she played football, and together the two robotics joined the battle. There was a lot to deal with, but at least they were finally together. Things were a disaster. Bodies were begging to pile, and the halls were slippery with blood. Two friends, Chris and Johnny B, were with Mandy trying to enter Falcon's office headquarters through a secret door in the underground of the school. Too bad that Falcon knew the school too well and rigged it with mines. Unfortunately for Mandy, she exulted as her body was derailed by explosive. John and Chris felt sorry for their loss, but they knew this was the price of war, and if they didn't stop Falcon's inflation, it would just get higher. In another part of the battlefront, Samus and Ridley were using their new armor power to do serious damage to the enemy bodies. Ted, Robbie, Smiley, and the heartbroken Tio Wan were also contributing to the death toll, and it seemed the tide was beginning to rise for the better. That was until an old enemy appeared, this time for the finals. Well, we meet again, Kron Kraid and his goons. You think you can win this war? You'll have to go through us. It's time to reveal the gang. Everyone was shocked as the true identities were revealed of Kraid's gang members. Silix, Noxus, Candon, Weevil, and Spire. The gang war began as Samus, Ridley, Tio, Ted, Smiley, and Robbie got into place to fight the enemies. Ted lunged at Noxus and shanked at him, but Silix was quick to notice and shot Ted in the foot. Both gangbangers were ended when Tio Wan saved Ted's ass by firing Mexican machine guns at them, killing them in the head. Silix transformed into a machine gun turret and took out Robbie and part of Smiley, but Samus was quick to the draw and fired a super missile, vaporizing both Silix and Noxus. This did not make Canon happy, and the two ex-presidents battled it out. As usual, though, Samus ended up on top and shot electro powers into his brainstem. That left just Ridley and Kraid. You might have won the gang war, but what about this? Kraid injected Enzites in his arms and he began to grow massive. There was a hole in the ceiling when Kraid stopped getting bigger, and he started to stomp on students and even Ridley. I have you in my foot, Kraid soliloquized as he was about to step on Ridley's face, but... Sinners! Mother Brain decloaked from her nun clothes and unleashed her Swiss Guard, that's the Pope Army, hand-training at Kraid and the Key Unders. This gave Ridley just enough time to shoot his eye lasers at Kraid's foot, knocking the evil over. Uh-oh, the Grand Wizard rapped, but it was too late. Fuck you in hell, chanted Ridley, and stuck his suit's robo-tail in Kraid's face. It was a lot of blood, but at least the score was settled. The war was ready to wrap up, but there was one last issue. The imposter president. Samus and her remaining allies were finally able to break into his office fortress, but where was he? Going somewhere? There was a voice, and as they turned down around the hall, zoomed a race car that was armed just like the Batman car in The Dark Knight. Captain Falcon, Samus and company condoled, but there was little use. Samus tried her powerful missiles at the car, but just bounced off the hood and blew the doors off classrooms, exposing the children. Ridley used his mecha suit powers to try to stomp the car, but Captain was too fast with his drive and dodged. His turn. Let's see who's the real president now, bitch! Captain Falcon bellowed the car intercom and used his presidential coats to arm the rocket tube with a mini-nuke. When it fired, everyone was sure this was the end of Samus, but just in time her boyfriend jumped in front of the missile and took the blast himself. Luckily, his suit was radiation resistant. Unfortunately, the nuke blast damaged it beyond repair. Ridley down, and so was Samus. Ha ha ha! My ride is indestructible! Falcon bandstanded. There isn't a single weapon on Earth that can defeat my Juggernaut! That's what we're here for! A sudden voice blasted through the roof. When the dust cleared, there were four figures. It was Chas O'Case, Ethereal, Kroot, and Taylor from Dark Crusade High School. This part was when Cervantes and I were still internet dating. That's long gone, but why waste the story? I told you guys that reinforcements were on the way, the game dude and Trace revealed over the intercom, and Samus and Ridley were relieved, but not Captain Falcon. Time to seal the deal, Kroot Landoed. And while he and Ethereal distracted the Falcon car by racing it through the hall of Top Gear, Tail Dreer and Shash did a power combine for one final blow. When the car rounded down to the last corner unleashed, totaling the Jugger car and ending the driver. There were still last words, however. I may be dead, but you still lose. You still got the cholera. Your debt is mine. The dead president gurgled as Samus, so only she could hear him. The war was over, but the girl knew he was right. It was only a matter of time. Few people survive in war, but for those who do, it's worth it to save their lives. This is what Samus was explaining to the survivors of Metroid High School. All her remaining friends were there, and so were Mom, Miss Chozo, and Dog Sparky. Samus was giving a great speech, but she felt the darkness taking hold. Dark Samus and the cholera were finally taking over her body. When she collapsed on the floor, people began to crowd around and cry. Please, there is a way! Ridley cried out to the gods. There is, confirmed Dr. Bannis, who drove up to the podium in a sport car, revealing a hypodermic needle of serum in it. You found the cure! Everyone cheered. Dr. Bannis turned to her patient. I may not agree with your sex, but I won't see a patient suffer. Even a sin widow, the doctor Hippocrates. It injected the liquid into Samus' body. The cholera syndromes began to fade away, but the Dark was not ready to give up without a fight. Ark! Samus coughed blood, and a white began to flash. As Samus convulsed, Dark Samus began to materialize outside of her body. Dark Samus satanically echoed, Thanks to your cure, I'm finally free! Dark Samus started running around, taking down students and teachers and eating their souls to gain power. Now that she was cured, Samus was at full power and did her best to fight Dark Samus before it inflicted too many casualties. Unfortunately, Dark Samus was already too powerful, and all that Samus could do was knock the helmet off to reveal its identity. No one could have expected the truth. Coach Houston, you're Dark Samus? The entire school was shocked in disbelief. Houston only smiled with all his teeth. I admit, I made the cholera. I couldn't have Ridley and Samus be dating because she needs to be a team player, and boyfriends take time. Houston explained from experience. There is nothing more important than sports, and you can't stop me. Not exactly. At that moment, the doors flew open and then there was the sound of a gunshot. At the door was President Gerald Ford. Finally spelled it right if you're wondering. He was still president when Metroid High School took place. with a sniping pistol in his hand and 50 Secret Service agents who took control of the situation. Huston was shocked. His idol just shot him in the face. But you played football. Why? Houston was confounded in the final moments of life, but Ford explained, everyone, sports can be fun to play and are good for bodies, but sometimes people take it too far. It's not worth it to make biological terror or start wars, but as long as you can keep it clean, keep it real, the real president finished the speech. And with that he returned to the White House, leaving Ridley and Samus alone. Everything was just about sorted out, but there was still one last thing that was troubling Ridley's mind. Samus could tell because they'd been going out for a time and she inquisited, Ridley, what's the issue? Well, it's only 3 more days until the big prom end. I know we're not together anymore. Ridley shuffled uncomfortably, but Samus was warm with a kiss. Ridley, I can't stay mad at you. You know the love when you feel it. Then they kissed right in front of the entire remaining school. Everyone cheered, including Principal Yokoi, Shas, Tio-wan, Amy, Mrs. Chozo, and even Cervantes cracked a grin. Damn, thought Ridley for the final time. I'm the luckiest guy in the universe. Epilogue, 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 epilogue. Fuck, I can't read all those epilogues. Samus and Ridley went to prom together as a couple, but Samus's ex-boyfriends didn't do so bad at all. Cervantes went with 111 Samus Ridley Forever 2006, the author who wrote the whole story in the first place, because they were both angsty and thought cool, and Amy went with Adam. Not just because of their shared letters, but they had other commons. In George Bush's last minute in office, he excommunicated all aliens, so Tio-wan had to go back to Mexico in the middle of the night. Too bad for Bush. He ran for president of Mexico and won. My dad told me that Mexico will probably be more powerful than the United States in a few years, so that's not so bad. Principal Yokoi decided to retire after the events, but then he learned how to make video games for Nintendo and made the game Metroid, based on everything that happened in Metroid High School. Wait a minute. I know Gunpei Yokoi is the creator of Metroid. I know that Metroid was created... I don't think it was created based on this. I have never played a Metroid game in which Samus and Ridley were boyfriend and girlfriend. Or Ridley was the boyfriend and Samus was the girlfriend. I didn't mean to mix the order up. I don't think I've ever seen a game in Metroid where Captain Falcon made a cameo appearance as the villain, in which they went to high school and Falcon took over the school. Mother Brain was a nun, he was a teacher, and, well, a whole bunch of other things. As for Samus and Ridley, they decide to stick together and see what happens. They decide to postpone the pregnancy until after marriage, because even though Juno is a movie, teens don't always make parents in real life. And the next time they had sex, Samus remembered to have her own pregnancy test. The unsettling thing about this is the fact that a human is having sex with a pterodactyl. After 3 years and 11 days, and yeah, this is the author writing this, my fanfiction career has officially come to a close. I couldn't have done it without you guys are the best. I've tried a lot of new things when writing, like words and ideas and all kinds of weirdness, even though some of you don't like it and it didn't make sense the whole time, but at least it's something. I'm going to miss you guys so much, but hey, don't forget to review. Thank you all so much, and never forget, Samus and Ridley forever! We're done reading Metroid High School. All 8 chapters. Time to review it. This fanfic wasn't too bad, but yes, it was bad. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. There were a lot of spelling and typographical errors everywhere throughout the whole thing. This has nothing to do, almost, with Metroid. There's so many things that just have nothing to do with it. Cholera, I don't even think that is an STD. Well, whatever cholera was, I don't know, but I don't think you got it through sex. So that doesn't make sense right there. I don't think Dark Samus was in Samus's body the whole time. But yeah, it makes more sense than some of the other things. It's like, she sure followed the story, right? Yeah, you know how Metroid goes. Samus and Ridley date, they go to high school. Mother Brain is a nun, she's a teacher. Captain Falcon shows up as a villain, taking over the school, becoming the main bad guy. He's a Republican, Samus is a Democrat. The whole election thing, yeah, you know, that's how it goes. I'm being sarcastic if you can't tell. The story suffered from so many plot twists. The ending, like, so much was going on, so many plot twists, it was confusing. I couldn't follow it. I'm not sure how we jumped from the past to the present, from chapters 6, 7, 8. Not sure how we got from the past to the present so quickly either. It was so confusing, this story, yet it was still interesting enough to read. This wasn't too bad, but it was still pretty bad. Yep, that's it. Metroid High School is done, and I'll probably be reading other fanfics.